Did you ever see him do any illicit, illegal drugs? Did you ever see him consuming excessive amounts of alcohol? Did you ever see Mr. Depp appear intoxicated? Objection to form calls for expert testimony. Wait, what? Expert testimony? What, do you need expert testimony to say that you saw someone do like drugs or become drunk or drink a lot of alcohol? It was a birthday party at our house. My best friend and I went very early because we wanted to get out as early as possible. 2018 heaven, she showed up incredibly intoxicated. There was an issue on the red carpet with the people who were dealing with the red carpet. And all I know is that Whitney either lied to me for 11 months and living with me about how Amber treated her, or she lied in the stand in the UK. It's one of the two. Seems like their father was incredibly abusive. I feel like a lot of the psychological warpness of Whitney's relationship with Amber is based on what they endured as children. What nearly killed the baby? Question mark. You know what he did to us? And like made this offhand comment and then just kept walking. And the kid was squalling. Tosh ran in. It was a whole big ordeal. I believe you previously testified about an incident where Miss Heard allegedly threw a wine glass at Miss Henriquez. What do you recall about the incident? Jennifer Howell, Volume 2. Now, they had to end abruptly because Camille Vasquez had an emergency. And they ended up doing this about a year after the first time they did the deposition. So we're going to have Jennifer Howell going to be examined by Camille Vasquez. And I don't know if Elaine Bertelhoff was here. I don't think so. I don't think so. But now we get to get aside from Jennifer Howell. And it'll be less antagonistic, you know. We won't have Elaine making her comments. And yeah, Jennifer Howell probably won't be as triggered. We have, let's see, Pintado. Clarissa Pintado for the defendant, Amber Laura Heard. Okay. It's actually harder to do the Camille Vasquez voice than it is to do the Jennifer Howell voice. But Camille Vasquez is more like chipper. Okay, so we have Camille Vasquez for Johnny Depp. We have Clarissa Pintado for Amber Laura Heard. And then we have Richard Spear for Jennifer Howell. And this one is a lot shorter. So that's good. Probably because it doesn't make sense for her to talk about this to Dr. Hughes, since it looks more like real-time notes from Dr. Hughes wasn't present. Gotcha. When did Aquaman 1, when were they doing the filming for Aquaman 1? They released it in theaters in, like, was it 2019, right? So this would have been like back then. I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. All right, by Miss Vasquez. Wasn't the notes from 2021? Yeah, it says sources close to Amber Heard said that these are from therapy sessions from, like, was it December 2021? So it could just be that she's in a therapy session with Dr. Dawn Hughes and she's just recapping like things that have been happening in her life in the past couple of years. That's what I was thinking initially. All right, here's what we got. Direct examination for counsel by the plaintiff, John C. Depp, by Miss Vasquez. Good morning, Miss Howell. Hi. Miss Howell, since the first half of your deposition has already taken in this matter, I'm not going to go through all the ground rules of deposition, but I do want to ask you, is there anything that may affect your ability to testify truthfully today? No. Okay. I'm going to apologize ahead of time, and we cover some of the stuff, or Miss Bretta Hoff, if she covers some of the year ago that you would. Okay, I have to put my glasses on. Oh. If she covered some of this a year ago when you were deposed. Yeah. I would just like to create a clean record, so apologies ahead of time if some of the questions seems repetitive to you. But sorry about that. Sorry, I have my phone off. I don't know why it's ringing through my computer. Okay. Have you ever been deposed before other than a deposition in this matter? Not that I recall. And she asked me that repeatedly whenever I was going back to the transcript. I was just trying to make sure I was correct about that. Over 25 years ago, there was something that happened with a former employee. I don't recall being deposed. But if I were to ever have been deposed, it would have been in regards to that. So I should have said I do not recall instead of an absolute no. I still don't believe I was deposed, but there was a small chance over 25 years ago. I thought it was mediated, but I was asked some questions about something that happened with a previous employer. Okay, but I would say no. Okay, you provided testimony besides your deposition last year in February. You provided testimony in a proceeding involving Johnny Depp. Is that correct? Oh, hey, thank you for the follow. Oh, shit, I have my audio on. Ooh, thank you. Yeah, we're going to do a Twitch stream after this, and we're going to watch 48 Hours on there. So join us on the Twitch. The witness statement I gave, is that... yes, I gave a witness statement. Okay. And was that witness statement provided in the UK action that Mr. Depp brought against the Sun and Dan Wooden? Yes. And when I refer to the UK action that Mr. Depp brought against the Sun, the publication The Sun and Dan Wooden's UK action, do you understand what I'm referring to? I believe so. Yes. The UK trial? Yes. Yes. Okay. What did you do to prepare for today's deposition? Objection, assumes facts. Wait, so pintado. It's hard to do when there's like 3 female voices because they would sound too similar to each other. Pintado. I mean, should I just do Elaine's voice as pintado? Just so we can tell the difference? But it's not Elaine, though. It's going to be someone else. It's just hard to kind of like discern between all the different voices. What is going on with my phone? Can y'all shush? All right. Miss Pintado, I'm going to be stating, I don't know how should I do the Pintado voice. Objection, assumes facts. Maybe I just look a deeper voice. The witness, sorry. I'm going to be stating objections. The witness, okay. Miss Pintado, so you might just want to give me a 2-second for that. The witness, okay. Miss Pintado, but objection, assumes facts. Everyone's just interrupting each other. Did you do anything to prepare for today's deposition, Miss Howell? Spoke to my attorney yesterday, and I have reviewed the last transcript from the last deposition. Other than your transcript from the previous deposition, did you review any other documents? No. Ms. Howell, you previously testified that you're the CEO of the Art of Elysium. Is that correct? That's correct. Are you currently in that position? Yes, I am. And how long have you been a CEO for the Art of Elysium? I am the founder of the organization. So we did our first workshop in August of 1997, filed the legal paperwork for February of 98 to set up a 501c3. So I guess since the beginning of the charity. And I assume you have many job responsibilities as the CEO and founder of the Art of Elysium. But could you give me a general idea of some of those job responsibilities? And I assume you have the job responsibilities as the CEO and founder of the Art of Elysium. But could you give me a general idea of some of those job responsibilities? We do. Whenever pre-COVID, let me be clear, pre-COVID, we were doing about 110 monthly programs that were at the Children's Hospital, elder care facilities, homeless shelters, and support groups throughout Los Angeles. We've done limited programming in New York over the years. We did a program in South Africa in collaboration with another organization, overseeing the program development, the vision for the charity, and all fundraising activities and donor cultivation, hiring staff, and really making sure that kind of manage missions of the organization and the growth of where we want to go each year, evaluating the future of the charity. Hughes has it marked on the margins of her notes, which was one of Amber's therapists. Oh, I see. I couldn't read it in the handwriting. It's like she transcribed them for her in handwriting. Interesting. Me too. Close family. Still haven't fully recovered, to be honest. My autocorrect for age is Amber Turd, by the way. No way. No, it's not. Even Google's being snarky about it. It's because you probably use it so much, okay? The phone remembers. It remembers. Does Art of Elysium have a board? Yes. And do you report to the board? Yes. And is it fair to say that the employees of the Art of Elysium report to you? I have a program of a VP of programs who oversees the program department, and we have a VP of development who oversaw the development department. And those 2 individuals and the COO of the organization report to me. Everyone else reports to either one of those people. Understood. Ms. Howell, when did you first meet Amber Heard? At the Pineapple Express premiere is where I met her and her sister Whitney. Do you remember approximately what year that was? I believe it was around 2008. I'm sure that could be pulled. It was like an LA premiere. I think there's probably multiple premieres, but it was the Los Angeles premiere of Pineapple Express. Was Ms. Heard there with Mr. Depp? No, this was long before. I was a guest of James Franco and Amber was in the movie. So I met her and her sister at the after party of the premiere. And shortly after meeting Ms. Heard and her sister Whitney, did Ms. Heard get involved with the Art of Elysium? I'm not sure how shortly after. I know that she came to Heaven, and I believe that's our annual gala. That's our big fundraising event for the year. I know that she was at Heaven in 2009. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she came as a guest of Johnny Woojack, and I believe after she attended the event, she started volunteering. What type of volunteer work did Ms. Heard do with the Art of Elysium? She was in our theatrical volunteer group, so it kind of constitutes, we have like a charity broken down to different artistic disciplines. Visual arts, fashion, theater arts, music are on the main 4. Then we have a self-esteem programs, which is kind of encompasses all of them in a therapeutic program. She, I believe, only volunteered in the theater art program, mainly doing improv storytelling. And then she, at some points, I believe, participated in Girl Talk, which would have been our self-esteem programs. I did not oversee those. She dealt with our volunteer managers. So the people who ran our programs are called program managers. They coordinate the volunteer workshop. At some point, did Ms. Heard, through the Art of Elysium, volunteer at the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles? Yes. Ms. Pintado, objection, leading, speculative. Do you recall when the first happened? I do not, but our vice program, presidents of programs, Leslie Culp, would have all the records for that. We keep records of like people when they go in and volunteer. So I'm not sure what the point was when she went into children's. I know she volunteered at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, and I believe Kaiser were the main facilities she volunteered at. At some point, Art of Elysium honored Miss Heard with the Spirit of Elysium Award. Is that true? Uh-huh. Ms. Pintado, objection to form leading. I really like your glasses. Took me hours to read the notes because of the handwriting. Wait, can you link where the notes are? It's somewhere on Depth Dive, right? I just don't know where the notes are. Can you link it by any chance, or like in the Discord? So I want to see like all of the notes that they have. Question. And why did the Art of Elysium choose to honor Miss Heard with the Art of Elysium Award? Every year, whenever we select the honorees, people who run the volunteer programs, they put up people that they feel have been volunteering. And Shanna Going, who was our program director for the theater arts department, recommended Amber because of her volunteering and the fact that she was bilingual and could do sign language. And so she had used that in volunteering, and she thought that she was a really good recipient. And did you agree with that recommendation? Yes, I trust my program staff to kind of inform me who is volunteering regularly. I used to, in the beginning of the charity, run all the programs myself, but then as the charity grew, the role in the organization changed for me. So basically, my main job turned into how to raise money to pay staff so we can help more people in our volunteer programs. So they're the ones who actually see the work, on the day-to-day, and I defer to them on what their opinions are. I believe you previously testified that you met Whitney Henriquez, Amber Heard's sister, at the Pineapple Express premiere. Yes. Did Miss Henriquez end up working at the Art of Elysium at some point? Yes, she did. What year did Miss Henriquez begin working at the Art of Elysium? I believe it was in 2014. I don't have those documents in front of me. I believe it was leading to the year Amber was receiving the reward. And what was Miss Henriquez's position at the Art of Elysium? Art salon manager and director. Does Miss Henriquez still work at the Art of Elysium? No. When did that end? On 2015, I believe. As the art salon manager director, what was Miss Henriquez's responsibilities? We have an art salon. We actually have like 2 art salons, and this is kind of a main function of our fundraising events. We have a lot of artists who have donated art that is sold, and the money comes back to run our community programs. We showcase artists. We do monthly, sometimes more than like once a month showcases, but it's like visual art, music, culinary artists. We use it as a way to cultivate new volunteers and new donors. So she was overseeing that. We also do programming in the salons. We have an annual event for a community called Little Pieces of Heaven that was often done in the salons. We did music workshops in the salon. The job of the art salon manager director is basically manage that space and to help facilitate all the programs, events that happen within that space, and to go to the sponsors to try to raise money to help continue our community service programs. I wonder what does Whitney Heard do now, or Whitney Henriquez? At some point, did you and Miss Henriquez develop a relationship or friendship beyond employee/employer? Ms. Pintado, objection, leading. Well, yes. So whenever she first came, like when she met at the Pineapple Express premiere, I believe, I'm not sure when, but she came to meet me at the art salon. That's how we've been talking about the employment, because she wanted to throw a shower or a party for Amber and Johnny because of their engagement. So she came to look at the space because she wanted to see about throwing something here. She talked to me at length about that, and through the conversation is where I discovered that she'd been managing like bars and restaurants and did all that. And we had not hired an official person for the art salons. So I'm like, it sounds like you have the background. So when she came in to meet with me before it turned into a work relationship, it was personally to see the space about throwing a party for Amber and Johnny for, their upcoming wedding. So I kind of say from the beginning, it was friendly. And I would say the majority of the people on the staff here, it's more of a family environment and friend environment. I never started a nonprofit to be a boss, or everybody's kind of friends here. So from the beginning, I would say it was a friendly relationship and not just a traditional, for me, like you're an employer. I'm your employer kind of situation. At what point did your relationship with Ms. Henriquez become a close relationship? Oh, at some point, did your relationship with Ms. Henriquez become a relationship? Yes, Ms. Pintado. Objection, leading. And at what point was that? Honestly, whenever I would say we were close, as I am with everyone. Honestly, whenever I say we were close as I am with everyone, I was work with, I'm to the point she came to ask if she could live with me. And during the time she actually lived with me is when our relationship really kind of went from work to work relationship to the one I have with everyone here, to kind of more her confiding in me about very personal situation. And we'll get to that in a minute, but do you remember approximately what year Ms. Henriquez came to live with you? 2015. Do you remember approximately what month in 2015 Ms. Henriquez? I believe it was May 2015, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's roughly the time. As you sit here today, do you still consider Miss Henriquez a friend of yours? I mean, to be totally honest, I don't know how to answer that question. I would say yes, I care about her deeply. I've been so hurt through all of this, and there are a lot of people that I thought were my friends who were honest and integral people that I very much question my judgment on humanity as a whole because of this entire experience. So I don't really know how to give you a yes or no answer question. I care deeply about her well being and I wish her well, but I have been gutted by this experience. Before this experience that you had to describe Miss Howell, did you and Miss Henriquez refer to each other as chosen sisters? Yes. Miss Pintado, objection, leading. Objection, leading, cutting off each other. Yes, yes. Whitney started calling me chosen sister, and I responded back to her that way. It was initiated by her and started by her. Did you understand why Whitney saying to you that you were her quote chosen sister? Oh, what did you understand by Whitney saying to you that you were her quote chosen sister? She told me that if she could choose to have a sister, she'd have chosen me over the other one she was born with. She doesn't want to say Amber Heard. And the one that she was born with, she was referring to Amber Heard. That there's also like another half sister. So in all honestly, maybe she was referring to her, but my understanding is that she was referring to Amber. When did Miss Henriquez start referring to you as her chosen sister? I honestly couldn't tell you if it was before she moved in with me or when she moved in with me, but somewhere around that time. I know the other one. I was like, just say Amber Heard. Come on, just say Amber Heard. She's like, the other one. Have you ever met Johnny Depp? Yes. And when did you meet Mr. Depp? At the time, I believe the Penthouse was the first time I met, which I've gone to have dinner with Amber to discuss her receiving the Spirit of Elysium Award. I believe that was the first time I met him. And was that in 2015? It would have been before 15 because she received the award in January 2015. So it would have been sometime, prior to her receiving the award, because I went to have dinner with her, discuss like, can you reach out to people to raise money? You're receiving this award. We always ask for Spirit of Elysium Visionary Award recipients to help fundraise. Like they're being honored. So we ask them to reach out to people that they know to help raise money because the event is the primary fundraiser for all of our programs. When you refer to the Penthouse, are you referring to the Eastern Columbia building in Los Angeles, California? Yes. And did you come to understand the Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's residence? Yes. Fair to say, this meeting probably took place sometime in the later half of 2014. Ms. Pintado, objection, leading. I would say somewhere between June and December. I'm not sure if it was summer, but I would say sometimes in the 6 months prior to heaven. If you recall, how many times did you meet Mr. Depp in person? Ms. Pintado, objection, assumes facts. Half a dozen, to a dozen times, I would say. And what was the first time, just to clarify, at the Penthouse at the Eastern Columbia building when you met Miss Heard to discuss her receiving the award? Was the first time? Yes. What, if any, do you recall of meeting Mr. Depp on the first occasion? He had been working in the film and he came in. Amber and I had been there for a while having dinner. She had poured wine. He came in, joined us for wine. Oh, she poured the wine. Remember how she would always say, oh, Johnny Depp was drunk, drinking the wine. But Johnny Depp was like, well, she was the one who was always pouring it for me. She poured the wine. He came in, joined us for wine, sat down, talked to us in the kitchen for a while. Very pleasant, lovely. Very interested in, hearing about the charity, just very lovely. Was that the only time you met Mr. Depp at the Eastern Columbia building? No, I believe Whitney had me come down. She was dating Ryan Adams, who was a friend of Johnny's. And she had me come down to meet Ryan, and he was there that night as well. I believe he was there that night. I went down a few times to meet Ryan. So one of the times I went down to meet Ryan, he was there. And the he you're referring to is Mr. Depp. Yes, they had guitars out. They were strumming guitars, kind of just like him and his friends, Ryan, who was dating Whitney. Other than the first time you met Mr. Depp at the Eastern Columbia, maybe 2 times that you were there to see Ms. Henriquez and her then boyfriend, Ryan Adams, do you recall ever going to the Eastern Columbia building seeing Mr. Depp? There was another time I was down there where Jack was there, his son, and he came in that night at some point as well. The reason I know Jack was there is because his best friend is Dexter Demi, and Dexter's mother, Amanda Demi, is a friend of mine. So I have met Jack periodically as a kid through her son Dexter over the years. So I sat in there and played video games and talked to Jack for a while, and he came in at some point that night too. Did you ever attend a birthday party at the Eastern Columbia building for Ms. Heard? Objection, leading. I did not. I attended a birthday party for Ms. Heard where Johnny was as well. And that was at Nobu in Hollywood, the Nobu in La Cienega in a private room. But I did not attend a birthday party at the Eastern Columbia building. Do you remember what year approximately you attended the birthday party at Nobu in Hollywood for Miss Heard? Miss Pintado, objection, asked and answered, leading. 15 or 16, I would think. Each time you saw Mr. Depp, did you ever see him do any illicit, illegal drugs? Never. Did you ever see him consuming excessive amounts of alcohol? Miss Pintado, objection. Form. No, never. Did you ever see Mr. Depp appear intoxicated? No. Objection to form, calls for expert testimony. Wait, what? Expert testimony? What, do you need expert testimony to say that you saw someone do like drugs or become drunk or drink a lot of alcohol? Answer. Never, no. And like at the birthday party at Nobu, he was outside and I walked outside. There was a friend of mine who was there, of theirs, and that was an artist. The artist started talking to me about his art. I went outside with he and Johnny talked to me at length about this guy's art and was just saying what an amazing artist he was and how he would get involved in the charity and was like basically telling the guy about what we did. And not only was he very coherent and very present, he was very much kind of like wanted to be removed from the party part of it. Like he was kind of like, I would almost say like reclusive. Like he didn't want to be around the party part of it because he seemed very withdrawn from that part of it. Ms. Pintado, I move to strike that testimony as unresponsive. Ms. Howell, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you this, but in light of counsel's objections, what was your impression of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's birthday party in Nobu in Hollywood, California? He was very kind, and in my experience with him there and other experiences, he lived up to everything Whitney had told me he was, which he was this amazingly kind, overly generous human being. Ms. Pintado, I move to strike that on the basis of hearsay and also unresponsive. The witness, I love that. Oh my God. Question. Ms. Howell, did you ever see Miss Heard do any illegal or illicit drugs? Ms. Pintado, objection. Leading. Hi, Lemon Baked. How are you doing today? Hello, hello, hello. There was a night where it was her birthday party. Well, after this, I went very early. It was a birthday party at her house. My best friend and I went very early because we wanted to get out as early as possible. And we went upstairs because she was getting dressed. She had a makeup artist and people in there spraying her gold. And there was what appears to be a white substance on her dresser that I believe that she was doing when we walked in. But she basically, we walked in, she was sitting there and she saw us and then got on the bed. So yes, I thought that was what she was doing, but I can't be certain. Pintado, I move to strike that on the basis of speculation, lack of foundation, and unresponsive. Go ahead. Other than that incident at Miss Heard's residence, let me clarify. Miss Heard's residence, you mean the home on Orange Avenue? This was the home, I don't know if it was the one in Orange. It was the one in the hills. She had a birthday party. This was after they separated. Well, after. I believe it was definitely not Orange. It was in Hollywood Hills. So let's clarify. Approximately what year did you attend a birthday party for Miss Heard at her home? Okay, so this happened, after they divorced. Amber Heard doing the drugs. Answer, I would probably say 17 or 18. She was living with Rocky because Rocky was getting dressed as well. And Rocky she was like with a stunt double guy. I believe she ended up marrying. They were there whenever we got there. So it was whenever she was living with Rocky and Rocky's now husband in a home. Oh, remember the drama between Amber Heard and Rocky? I think at some point, like Rocky and her Rocky apparently cheated on Josh Drew, who was also a witness for the whole like debacle thing back in 2016. But like, I think like she cheated on him and then left him for the stunt double guy. And then I think like it seemed like maybe they were both like living off of Amber Heard again, and she would come home and things would be like a mess or something. I don't know. At some point, I think she kicked out Rocky and like the husband. Cause like it was just like drama and like messy and stuff like that. You want to be Elaine for Halloween? Oh, you could totally do it. Oh yes. You can like get the wig, you can get the outfit and everything, the nice little bright lipstick she likes to wear sometimes. Other than the incident in either 2017 or 2018 at Miss Heard's home for her birthday, did you ever witness Miss Heard do any illegal, illicit drugs in your presence? No. Since you've known Miss Heard, have you ever observed her drinking excessively? Ms. Pintado, objection. Drinking excessively, alcohol excessively. Objection, vague, assumes facts on evidence, leading. 2018 Heaven, she showed up incredibly intoxicated. There was an issue on the red carpet with the people who were dealing with the red carpet. And it kind of spread throughout the event on headset how to handle her and get her in because she was very intoxicated when she showed up for the event. And there was some issue on the red carpet. I didn't see her later. Definitely can say, I did see her later and definitely can't say she was intoxicated. But I was only hearing through the production team that they were having a problem holding her up to get her down the red carpet. Oh my Lord. Objection. Mr. Chu. Wait, Mr. Chu comes in. Move to strike. Was it Chu? And that would have been at John Legend's heaven. She came with Whitney. Ms. Pintado. I move to strike that is not responsive and also calls for expert testimony. Question. When you observed Ms. Heard at the 2018 Heaven event, what about her behavior indicated to you that she appeared intoxicated? Well, Whitney was holding her up quite a bit. I mean, she kind of just needed help standing. Did you speak to Ms. Heard at all at the event? Yes, I did. Do you recall anything about the conversation? No, to be totally honest, at those events, it's like pictures of people. It's like flashes because it's always so crazy, being pulled in so many directions. So no, I don't really recall anything specific about the conversation. Did she poop on the red carpet? No. Question. Focusing on your attention just in time when the period that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were together as a couple, do you ever recall seeing any injuries on Ms. Heard? Answer. Never. Ms. Pintado. Objection. Leading. Do you recall ever seeing swelling on her face? Never. Objection. Leading. Do you ever recall seeing any bruises? Never. Objection. Leading. Do you ever recall seeing a broken nose? No. Do you ever recall seeing Ms. Heard having a black eye or two black eyes? Objection. Leading. No. Do you ever recall seeing redness on Ms. Heard's face? Objection. Leading. No. Did you ever see Ms. Heard ever show you photographs of depicting injuries on her face or body? Objection. Leading. No. Did Ms. Heard ever tell you that Mr. Depp was abusive towards her? Objection. Leading. No. Did Ms. Henriquez ever tell you that Mr. Depp was abusive towards Ms. Heard? Objection. Leading. Hearsay. Never. When you did see Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard together, I believe you testified a handful of times. How would you describe their interaction between themselves? I never saw anything except kind of a regular relationship. I would just say kind of like normal couple. There's nothing that I would remark out as out of the norm. And when you say normal couple, did you see Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard be affectionate towards one another? Yeah, at the heaven, whenever they would come to heaven, which they came to 3 of the heaven galas together, they're always, holding hands, kind of cuddly, sitting together, seem loving. Is Mr. Depp paying for your legal fees, Ms. Howell, for this deposition, the testimony you provided in the UK action? No, he's not. Who is? Myself. Do you have any particular sense of loyalty towards Mr. Depp? None at all. Do you feel any sense of loyalty towards Ms. Heard? None at all. During your friendship with Ms. Henriquez, did she ever speak to you about her relationship with Ms. Heard? Objection. Calls for hearsay. All the time. And what sticks in your mind as you sit here today about, strike that. What do you recall Ms. Henriquez saying to you about her relationship with Ms. Heard? Objection. Hearsay. It started with her talking about it very openly in the office where it was constant. I mean, to be completely honest at this point, I look back at a lot that was happening in the office at the time and really wish I put an end to it. But I was busy trying to, meet with the donors, pay my employees, and keep the charity going. But it was like constant. Like if she and Amber were getting along, if Amber said jump, she was out the door and she's like, I got to help my sister. And I'm like, you work here. She's like, I've got to help Amber. It was constant. Then if they were fighting, it was a constant stream of, I can't believe she did this. She threw a glass of red wine at me. It cracked in the elevator. She jerked me by the arm. It was constant in the office. Constant until the day she asked if she could move in with me because Amber threw her down the stairs. That is what it was like. And then once she moved in with me, it was daily. Everything that they had gone through, she did. I mean, it was pretty constant. It was constant. I was pretty mortified by it, but I always kept in my mind that they were sisters. And like my sister and I can get on each other's nerves. We have not ever physically assaulted one another as adults, but like my sister and I can, we're sisters. So I would keep in mind maybe she's exaggerating a little bit because they're siblings. Now that I look back and I realize she wasn't exaggerating it. It was probably something I should have done something about back then, but I didn't. I really don't know. I just listened to her. Ms. Pintado, I'm going to strike that as unresponsive and largely based on hearsay. Have you ever fangirled over Ms. Depp? Oh, wait, that... Are you obsessed with Mr. Depp? Are you here to get your 15 minutes of fame? The witness. And to say to the objection, I just want to say this. You can say hearsay all day. I've always said I know what Whitney told me. And all I know is that Whitney either lied to me for 11 months and living with me about how Amber treated her, or she lied in the stand in the UK. It's one of the two. So you can say hearsay all day. That is what I know. That's what I'm bringing to the table. What do you recall, if anything, Ms. Henriquez saying to you about her childhood? Objection. It seems... Mr. Chu, hearsay. Seems like their father was incredibly abusive. I feel like a lot of the psychological warpness of Whitney's relationship with Amber is based on what they endured as children. It seems from what Whitney said to me on many occasions that their father was abusive to both of them and their mother, and that in childhood, often Amber would take the brunt of it and let Whitney escape. And I think there's a very deep sense of loyalty between these sisters. And, you know, going through this, there's a gamut of emotions, I feel, because I say I deeply care for Whitney. I really genuinely do. And the days that I'm not in absolute shock by the entire situation that Amber's created, I have a deep pity and sympathy for her too, because I can't imagine it during the childhood in which Whitney shared with me. So I feel horrible for both of them in that sense. Do you know whether, we'll strike that. Did Ms. Henriquez tell you whether the abuse by their father was physical, emotional, or sexual in nature? Objection, hearsay assumes facts not an evidence. I understood from, like, again, you can say it's assumptions, but I can't give you specific words. But the way I took all of the stories that she told me for 11 months was that it was all three of the above. That is what I understood it to be. And it really does. I mean, it to this very day, breaks my heart for the both of them. It truly, truly does. Did Ms. Heard ever share to you that her father was abusive towards her? No. Objection, hearsay assumes facts, not an evidence. No, the only thing that would allude to her saying that to me, well, I guess she did, excuse me. There was a baby shower for Whitney that was held at Amber's home, the same home that I went to for the birthday party that's in the hills. And Tosh Sachs, I think Natasha Brooks is probably how y'all would know her, was throwing it for Amber. It was the first time she had taken her child out in the public. She had a daughter. And Tosh was running around doing stuff, and her husband had the baby's name as Addie, had Addie in his arms, or Mr. Heard came in and literally snatched a child out of Dustin's arms. And I was sitting on the couch, there was a coffee table there, and he had Addie on the other side of the coffee table. He was clearly intoxicated. It was still very early for me in the day, and he did not hold the child's back, and the child literally flipped. When I say to you, I thought he had killed her. I jumped on the table, her husband snatched it. It was a whole big scene. Amber was walking down the stairs as it happened, and she came in and she was like, what nearly cured the baby? You know what he did to us and what nearly killed the baby? ? You know what he did to us? And like made this offhand comment and then just kept walking. And the kid was squalling. Tosh ran in. It was a whole big ordeal. When did that take place? It was before Hunter was born. I mean, she was very pregnant. I would say she was probably 8 months, 9 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant at the time. So before her baby was born, it was Hunter's baby shower. And what year was that? I honestly, I can't tell you. I just know it was a baby shower. I'm not sure what year he was born. The DUI guy said that when JD waved to the gallery before he left, both sides had an intake of breath and kind of made clucking chicken sounds. Wonder why she went to Spain. Is it to be close to depth in the UK, only 1 hour away? Amber literally slapped Rocky over something as mundane as plates. Yeah, she's not crazy and aggressive. He does have fans in all ages, from teens to older people. I would Jack Sparrow walk too if I saw Johnny. Did Miss Henriquez ever describe Amber Heard, her sister, as violent? Objection, hearsay. Yes, she did. Who did Miss Henriquez say Miss Heard was violent towards? Objection, hearsay, vague. Towards herself. I mean, she said that she has been very abusive to her throughout their lifetime. And again, just for me saying this for my own conscience sakes, I wish I didn't play it off as, oh, this is just sisters fighting back. Then I really do. And I would just have to God and Whitney help, honestly. Whitney, and then she talked repeatedly about how abusive she was towards Johnny. Did you ever see any injuries on Miss Henriquez that she attributed to Miss Heard? No. Objection, assumes facts, not an evidence, lack of foundation. Go ahead. No. As you previously testified that Miss Henriquez described Miss Heard as violent towards Mr. Depp, what was the first incident that you recall Miss Henriquez telling you that Miss Heard was violent towards Mr. Depp? Objection, hearsay, facts, not an evidence. The reason I'm involved in this whole situation in any way, shape, or form is because she said that the reason she came to live with me is because she tried to stop Amber from attacking Johnny on top of the staircase, and Amber pushed her down the stairs. She said to me that the security guard had not been there, she probably would have fallen to her death, were her words. And then whenever the UK thing came out, see, it doesn't really make sense to me. The whole like Whitney story and Amber story doesn't make sense to me. Why would Whitney, after seeing what she said was Johnny Depp attacking her sister, why would Whitney want to move away from her sister afterwards? Wouldn't you want to stay there to protect your sister? I find it weird that like she's saying like, oh, you know, Johnny Depp attacked my sister, try to push her down the staircase. And then now I don't want to live there anymore. I want to go live with someone else. You know, it's like you'd probably stay there to protect your sister, wouldn't you? But I don't know. And then whenever the UK thing came out, I was contacted by someone who knew why she came to live with me. She changed the story and said she tried to stop Johnny from attacking Amber on the top of the stairs and he pushed her down the stairs. She flipped the story. But that was like really violent, where it was outside of what it was, not just kind of like being laughed off of my head. Like, oh my God, these Chris sisters are crazy. That was the first real incident of, well, it's really scary. Oh, you saw the Hollywood vampires? Interesting. In Glasgow. Even the street guys are so thirsty. There was a Jack Sparrow lookalike. So funny. Oh, how did you enjoy the show? So satisfying. I suspected. Yeah, it just didn't make sense. Do you recall Miss Henriquez specifically saying to you about the incident? What do you recall specifically, Miss Henriquez specifically saying to you about the incident on the staircase? Objection. Objection. Hearsay assumes facts, not an evidence. Lack of foundation. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Yeah, let me repeat the question. You just testified about an incident which Miss Henriquez described to you on the staircase. Did Miss Henriquez tell you where this allegedly incident took place? Objection. Hearsay assumes facts, not an evidence. Objection to form. It was the I would say Eastern Standard, the Eastern Columbia building penthouse. She was living down there at the time, and that's why she left. Did she tell you? Did Miss Henriquez tell you why? Well, strike that. Did Miss Henriquez tell you that Miss Heard, and Mr. Depp were having an argument? Objection. Hearsay assumes facts, not an evidence. Leading. I would say, yeah. I mean, I think it was, she implied that there was an argument because she stopped her, because she said she stopped her. Like, I don't know if she went into details about the argument. It was more like she was really, really, really upset that her sister knocked her down the stairs. And that was more what she was talking about than whatever was going on with them, if that makes sense. Did specifically Ms. Henriquez tell you her sister, what specifically did Ms. Henriquez tell you her sister did to her? Objection. Hearsay assumes facts, not an evidence. Lack of foundation. Leading. We've heard Amber get physical with her ex, Johnny, Rocky, Whitney, and we don't know how Elon got that big bruise while he was with her. I mean, the bruise could be anything. But yeah, we have a lot of stories corroborating with Amber getting physical with other people. And it's just, I don't know. Did she just think that no one's going to talk up against her, I guess? It was a good crowd, nice venue. I was close enough to get on stage to imagine JD was looking at me. They're hitting 60 now, but they have brawls thrown at them on the stage. What I understood from what she said to me, that she got in between the two of them on the top of the stairs, tried to stop Amber from attacking Johnny, and Amber, in a violent rage, threw her down the stairs. And who stopped Miss Henriquez's fall down the stairs? Objection. Calls for hearsay, assume facts, not an evidence. Leading. One of Johnny's security guys. Did Miss Henriquez tell you the name of that security person? Objection. Hearsay, assumes facts, not an evidence. Lack of foundation. Leading. Probably at the time, but I can't remember. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know who it was. Do you know approximately what year this alleged incident took place? Objection. Hearsay, assumes facts, not an evidence. Lack of foundation. Leading. I believe it was 15, I believe. Well, you previously testified this occurred. Strike that. You previously testified that this was the reason that Ms. Henriquez came to live with you. Is that correct? Objection. Hearsay. Speculative. Facts, not an evidence. Lack of foundation. Leading. That's why she came to live with me, yes. And I probably have to ask you this already, but I have to ask it again. What year, month, if you recall, did Ms. Henriquez come to live with you? I believe it was May 2015. It was definitely 2015. It was either March 2015 or May 2015. It was sometimes in there. And in March or May of 2015, Miss Henriquez was still working at the Art of Elysium. I do not believe she was working here when she moved in with me. She was volunteering at some point, but I believe she was no longer working for the charity at this point. But I'm not certain if it overlapped at all or not. Foster care. Alice Cooper, Joe Perry are in their 70s. JD's the baby. Jennifer is one of the MVPs in this case for the show. And how long did Miss Henriquez live with you? 11 months. And where was Miss Henriquez living prior to coming to live with you? The Eastern Columbia building. As far as you understood, was Miss Henriquez paying any rent to Miss Heard or Mr. Depp? No. Objection. Calls for hearsay. Speculative. Leading. She was not. She was not. And when she first started working here, Johnny had given her a car as well. So she had a car that he had given her. It was an orange. Oh my God. Johnny was taking care of like all of her friends and stuff. Friends, family members. Oh my goodness. I wonder if like the moment they realized that Amber Heard was about to date a billionaire, that they were like, you know what? We could drop Johnny Depp now. We got a billionaire in our hands. Let's go. Jesus. No, she was not. When she first started working here, Johnny had given her a car as well. So she had a car that he had given her. It was an orange Dodge car of some sort she was driving. And she always went on and on about how generous he was for giving her that car, giving her a place to live, and how great he was. I think you testified previously that Ms. Henriquez would often speak at the Art of Elysium's offices about the relationship with Ms. Heard and the observation of Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp's relationship. Oh, Fair. So why I ask all this stuff you can't bring hearsay into court? I mean, you might as well ask everything now, just so they can get a full story of everything. Like why? Like more information is better than like less information, right? So gather as much information as you can now while you have the witness here, and then see what you can use when the trial happens. If Keanu wasn't already in a band, I would have loved him to join the Hollywood Vampire. Johnny and Keanu together. Oh, is Keanu in a band? Is he in a band? Okay, so observations: Ms. Hers, Mr. Depp's relationship fair. Yes. Objection: misstates the testimony. Was there an incident that took place at the Art of Elysium in 2015 relating to Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurt's stay in Australia? Objection: leading, speculative, calls for hearsay. There was the dog situation after that happened and they were flown back here. The dogs were coming into the office. Whitney had the dogs. She went and took time off work to go pick them up and bring them in. So we had the dogs here every day. And that happened. And then the other thing is that she was sitting in the office and loudly proclaimed that she had done it now, that she had cut off his finger. And we're just talking in pieces now. Camille, just to make sure the record's clear, let's talk about the exclamation by Miss Heard and Miss Henriquez. I want to understand what happened. So you were in the office that day when Miss Henriquez said something about the finger being cut off. Yeah, I mean, objection, calls for hearsay, misses the testimony, assumes facts, not in evidence. To be honest with you, Camille, I was sitting exactly where I'm sitting right now because I'm sitting at my desk in my office. So I'm sitting right here on my computer, working in my zone, responding, do whatever I was doing. And right over there was 2 black and white chairs at the time with a table between it. Whitney was sitting in one of the black and white chairs. There's a door that goes out right over there as well. She just screamed, she's done it now. She's cut off his goddamn finger and made this huge proclamation. And I pushed my chair back and I was like, what? And she goes, she cut off his finger. She cut off his finger. And then she bolted out the door and was like, I got to call somebody. I got to call somebody. And she went out the door and she called someone. I don't know who she called. That's what she said. Did Miss Henriquez say to you who the she was or who the he was? Objection, hearsay, assumes facts not in evidence, lack of foundation, leading. It was Johnny and Amber. She apparently had thrown a bottle and cut off his finger, is what she reported when she came back in from whoever she talked to outside. I moved to strike that on the basis of its unresponsive, based on hearsay. So what did you heard? So what you heard Miss Henriquez say in the office was that she screamed and she said exactly that. She's done it now. She's cut off his, I believe she said GD. I believe it was like a curse. It was like either GD or effing. It was a curse word, finger. So goddamn or fucking. Because I pushed back and I was like, okay, this is going in the middle of the office. And she was like, yeah, went out the door. I mean, basically, Ms. Pintado. And I like to state that the state a belated objection, hearsay, assumes facts, not in evidence, like a foundation, leading. Good night. The judge decides, let's see. The judge decides to state or allow the objection. Deposition is edited in. Keanu is in a rock band called Dog Star. How many band members does he have? Is he performing stuff? Did the security guy see anyone push Whitney? The security guy that was there, I don't remember his testimony, but I think he corroborated with Johnny Depp. Or maybe he didn't witness the whole thing. It's like, I don't remember. Do you know what caused Miss Henriquez to blurt out and scream in your office that she had done and cut off his finger? Objection, vague, calls for hearsay, speculative, lack of foundation. I am assuming she got a text on her phone because she was on her phone. I did not hear her speaking to anyone, so someone must have texted her. Did Miss Henriquez ever show you the message she received? No, she didn't. And I mean, again, just taking my own accountability here where I failed at certain things. I was trying my best to keep an office together with this chaos that was coming in on a daily basis. And I should have done a better job at it looking back on it now. I should have not had this happening in the office. When Miss Henriquez came back into the office, what specifically did she say to you? Objection, hearsay, assumes facts not in evidence, leading. She said that she had thrown a bottle and his finger was cut off. And there was who? Amber. Objection, hearsay, assumes facts not in evidence. Okay, I would assume that when Whitney hears about this in text message, that she immediately got up and would have just called her sister and be like, Amber, what the fuck happened? Amber's like, oh, I don't know what happened, but I was just so mad. I threw the bottle and he cut off his finger. Oh my God, I feel so bad. Like, I could see that happening. Because I feel like Whitney would have tried to call her sister like ASAP. Unless she tried to call her sister and her sister didn't pick up, maybe. Wish we had phone records. Question. What was your reaction to that? I mean, I was trying to get on my day and put this out. Like I had a million things in front of me. And honestly, I think this was the last time I was speaking with Elaine. I look back on it at all of it with everything that Whitney said. If any point in time I had thought this was mutual form of abuse, I would have done something. For a woman, I would have done something. In my head, every time it happened, Johnny Depp, he's got security guards. This girl weighs like 110 pounds soaking wet. Like I never thought of abuse on a man the way I thought of the abuse on a woman. And I'm deeply ashamed of that. So I would put even the finger being cut off and everything that Whitney said to me. He was a dude. She was a girl. I'm like from the South. So maybe it's like those old Southern things. I just never thought about the woman abusing a man. So I kind of just thought that maybe Whitney was over exaggerating some of the stuff or being a little extreme. Again, thinking back on it, I think I should have done something. I processed it. I took it in. And I kind of just went on with my day. And I just want to clarify one thing. Miss Henriquez never told you that Mr. Depp was abusive towards Miss Heard, correct? Never one time. So much to the point that while I was home, and this is where I've been feel like really good things that have come through this whole god awful experience. One, Richard Kim coming into my life. I love my attorney. Two, my family, which has been a rock solid group of just really moral and ethical people helping me navigate through this. But my father has reminded me consistently that I was home for Thanksgiving while Whitney was living in my house, that she called me to ask if she could have her parents and Johnny over to my house during Thanksgiving holiday because she and Amber were still not speaking, but she really wanted to see her parents and her brother because she constantly called Mr. Johnny her brother. He would text her, he would check on her every day. Dog starts to perform at the Viper Room. Maybe her sister was on the plane back to America. It was a 4-member band, I think. Now it was just 3. Keanu does bass and vocals. I think didn't we ever hear about the security guard saying that Amber Heard was in communication with her sister like afterwards? Because I know they were trying to push her to get a flight back to America, and they ended up being able to. But I think she had like a couple of hours where she was like packing and stuff, wasn't she? Yeah, I don't know, crazy. I mean, the whole thing just like makes sense. Like Johnny Depp's side of the story just makes more sense. Because if Amber was the one who was abused, not Johnny, why would they usher Amber to get the fuck out of Australia? I don't know. It's like because they didn't want Amber to be near Johnny. But I guess it could go for the other way. Like if it was the other way around, it's like, oh, okay, this guy's dangerous. You should leave. But I don't know. The recordings and all that stuff just really, it makes more sense for Johnny Depp's side of the story. She was clomping around looking for his finger. Airplane mode. It was a 4-member band, but I think now it's just 3. Keanu does bass and the vocals. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know he was in a band. Huh, like, so you're saying like maybe it could have been delayed that they told Whitney about? No, I feel like they would have told Whitney like ASAP. Like the moment everything was going down, after it went down and the moment people showed up and that was going down, like they were looking around looking for the finger and all that stuff. Like I feel like at that point, they probably would have told Whitney like ASAP, meaning Amber Heard would have still been in Australia at that house still. On the audio, you can still say that's on the trash and then Ben finds it. Oof, 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 oof. Okay. This is Jennifer Howell responding. Any feelings of believing that Johnny Depp is a good person comes from Whitney's mouth over 11 months and her telling me how wonderful he was, how great he was. It came from her while she was telling me how abusive her sister was. So that is where all of my goodwill towards Johnny comes from. It's not because he's Johnny Depp. I don't care about that. I don't care as Elaine tried to paint as celebrities at all. I think he's a good person because of what Whitney told me. Miss Pintado, a move to strike that is unresponsive. When Miss Henriquez lived with you, Miss Howell, did she have a room at your home? Yes, she did. Did she have a bed? Yes, she did. Did she pay you for any rent while she lived with you? Wow, did she not even offer? No, she did not. Did Miss Henriquez ever say to you that she was terrified of her sister and that's why she had chosen to come live with you? Objection, hearsay. Leading assumes facts, not in evidence. Yes, she did. And that is another thing that my father reminded me of. Those were her exact words. Did your father hear Miss Henriquez say that she was terrified of Miss Heard? Objection, double hearsay. Assume facts, not in evidence. I called him right after it and he was like, why is she moving in? And I was like, she was terrified of her sister. And he said, did she say that? And I was like, those were her exact words, Dad. And he has reminded me of that multiple times. Other than the staircase incident that Miss Henriquez described where Amber attacked Mr. Depp and ended up pushing her down the stairs, did Miss Henriquez tell you of any other instances where Miss Heard was abusive towards Mr. Depp? Objection assumes facts, not an evidence. Leading calls for hearsay. I mean, she said that it was constant. She was just like, she flies off the handle over anything. She throws things. See, we're getting similar themes here. Flies off the handle, throwing things, remote controllers, paint bottles. She yells, she screams. I mean, it seems like it was constant things that was happening over there. And Whitney was keeping in touch with Johnny while she lived with me. And she was also keeping in touch with the security guards. And I believe Kevin, someone named Kevin, I'm not sure if it was security or what, but they were in regular communication with her, letting her know what was going on. I believe you previously testified about an incident where Ms. Heard allegedly threw a wine glass at Ms. Henriquez. What do you recall about the incident? Objection. Ms. States' testimony calls for hearsay, assumes facts not in evidence. No, that was my testimony. And she went to Tribeca Film Festival. I believe that was for the Adderall Diaries. Yeah, I don't know. Some of these objections, it's like Camille she's not misrepresenting it. She's saying exactly what, what Jennifer Howell had stated before. No, that was my testimony. And she went to the Tribeca Film Festival. I believe it was for the Adderall Diaries. She said that she was in the elevator, and I don't know what set Amber off, but she had a full glass of wine. She threw it at Whitney in the elevator. The glass shattered, and the red wine went all over Whitney. Whitney told me and other staff about that incident. I don't know what set her off, but something just set her off, and she threw the glass of red wine at Whitney in the elevator. Miss Howe, is it okay? Maybe take a 5-minute break? All right, 5-minute break, bathroom break. Where are we at? 66? Oh, wait. See. I think we could actually break right here too. I think it would make sense. We're pretty much at the halfway point. Almost. Yeah, really pretty much at the halfway point. Imagine Amber took Johnny's finger and hit it. Oh my God. She's capable of doing that. Blames the dog for eating it. Oh my God. Takes it, just flushes down the toilet. I'm glad that Ben found it. JD was lucky to escape alive. Throwing bottles is dangerous, potential career ending or worse. Dude, throwing glass at people. Oof. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know how people believe Amber Heard. It's crazy to me, unless they have their own agenda or some shit like that. Like, after listening to like all the different testimonies and all the corroborating witnesses for Johnny Depp and how it shows that Amber Heard was the abuser, like, how do they believe Amber Heard? I don't know. I'm just so confused. Yikes. Yikes. Okay. What do we have? JH deposition. Page 66. Okay, so we're pretty much at the halfway point for the deposition, and we'll continue reading it to see what else they talk about. So what we found out so far, which I don't know, it's never really been mentioned, but Jennifer Howell suspects that there may have been some sort of like emotional, physical, sexual abuse with the sisters and possibly the dad. There was Amber Heard making an off comment about when the dad got drunk and apparently like was super drunk, had a baby in his lap, I guess, and the baby fell over. People were making a commotion. They talk about the Amber Heard throwing the wine glass at Whitney, about Whitney making those statements in the office and how she would confide in Jennifer Howell. Like, I don't know. Like, this is a lot. There's a lot of crazy shit. Yeah, if the first one flew around the right side of his head, she could have had hurt him anyway. JD would have arrested back then. The Amber lies convinced me that JD was innocent. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of things. It was a lot of crazy stuff. Hi, Ann. How are you doing today? How's it going? What else was covered? Staircase incident. About, Amber Heard doing, what seems like was cocaine. Yeah, I don't know. Amber Heard shouldn't have lied so much, man. I feel like if she, just stuck with the truth, maybe people... Actually, no. There's just trying to think. There's just a lot of evidence against her. I don't know. Yeah, when you lie, people will catch on your lies, man. And especially when you're a celebrity and there's like pictures of you on the red carpet and stuff like that. Like, how did you think you're going to lie your way out of this one? I don't know. Wild. All right, guys. I think this is a good breaking point for the deposition. We'll continue reading it a different day. We're going to transition over to the Twitch stream now because I want to watch the 48 hours true crime doc that they did for the Idaho student murders. So we're going to watch that. Can't watch it on YouTube. So we're going to watch it on the Twitch channel instead. So if you guys want to come over, feel free to watch on the Twitch channel. And then today we covered a lot of stuff. I did a lot of cases update. We talked about, what did we talk about now? I forget. What was my thumbnail today? We talked about a lot of things. The screenshot. We went over the guilty verdict for the boy in the box trial. Caitlin Armstrong escaped again. She was the woman that escaped in Costa Rica, got plastic surgery allegedly, but they hauled her ass back to the U.S. Her trial is going to happen at the end of this month, October 30. Corey Richards, the woman who wrote a letter to her mom telling her brother what to say if he ever testified, or having him go to the attorney and talk about how the drugs were acquired by her husband at the time. So she was complaining about that, saying, you know, it's not fair. Carly Russell, the woman who faked her abduction, found guilty, looking at possible 1 year jail time. They're going to do they did an appeal on that because they don't want to serve any jail time. Larry Millette, the one who was accused of murdering his wife a couple years ago, lawyer decided to dip out. He had no money, wasn't paying her. And then we talked about Kevin Franke as well. Kevin Franke tried to have Sherry Franke, his daughter, charged with burglary, was mad that the police didn't go through with it, threatened to sue the police. And then, yeah, we talked about the drama with the Aquaman set with Amber Heard, Jason Momoa, James Wan, how Jason Momoa, she said that it was showing up drunk on the set, dressing like Johnny Depp and even wearing rings on his finger. And then we covered the deposition afterwards. So we covered a lot of stuff today. Lots of stuff. But now we're going to go over, let's see. I usually play video games on my Twitch stream, but I want to watch this true crime doc with you guys. I think it'll be pretty interesting. So if you guys want to, feel free to come join over. That's the link right there. I don't know if it's working. I don't know. I can't see the link on my end, but that's the link right there. Come join us on Twitch. We're going to watch 48 hours. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you guys being here. We'll have a new vlog uploaded on the YouTube channel as well and some other stuff. I'll see you guys in 1 second. I gotta set up the stream and all that. Bye. See you in 1 second.